Howdy, my name is Kaitlyn MARCISZ. I graduated with my Bachelor of Science degree in Agricultural Communications and Journalism with a minor in Sports Management December of 2015, and I started the MLPD program the following semester in January of 2016. I will explain throughout this presentation what I have learned in the MLPD program and what I will bring to this capstone project. Real estate is a huge part of our lives. One of my favorite quotes by Mark Twain is buy land. They're not making any more of it. I love this quote for many reasons, but especially in times like this, it seems like land is becoming more and more scarce, so it's important that the land we have left to develop with, we do something meaningful with it. I've lived in College Station for over 6 years now, and looking back, it's crazy to think about how much it really has changed in that short amount of time. Bryan College Station and Texas A&M University has a very unique culture and very intricate traditions that matter to the people living and visiting the area, which I think is important to think about when developing in this town, especially when it's right across from campus. Did you know that married student housing dorms used to stand where Century Square is now? So it's crazy for me to think that a Class A mixed-use development has taken its place. So how can we make Phase 2 of this project just as nice, if not better, for this town and the university? The Texas A&M system has decided it needs a landmark building on this site next to Phase 1 of Century Square. It's very important that we evaluate the economic, social, cultural, environmental, and sensory value of this project before we begin. It's obviously very important that Phase 1 and Phase 2 tie into each other and are a cohesive unit. We want to make sure we follow a very strict timeline like the one I'm showing you currently to make sure that this project is completed successfully. Development is not purely an economic phenomenon, but rather a multidimensional process involving reorganization and reorientation of entire economic and social systems. Century Square is in a very densely populated area. It's super walkable, which would be an added bonus for the TAMU system to relocate to this location. Some of the big reasons we choose to develop is to raise people's living levels and create conditions conducive to the growth of people's self-esteem through the establishment of social, political, and economic systems and institutions which promote human dignity and respect. Design will be a very important thing to consider. We want this Class A office building to be economical while being a cohesive unit with the rest of Century Square, which is why I would personally like to carry over the look of Calvary Court Hotel. I personally think that the Texas A&M University system would respond really well to working in a building that mirrors one of Texas A&M's longest standing traditions, the Corps of Cadets, which is what Calvary Court's design interprets. Delivery of this project is crucial in making sure it is visually pleasing and that it makes sense financially and can be engineered in a timely yet economical manner. We want to make sure we activate this project to the best of our abilities with marketing, generating revenue, and having an income, and to make sure it also improves the quality of all human lives that will be working there. Doing a detailed market analysis over this site is challenging since there is nothing else like this in the Bryan College Station area. However, we already have a very well-known stable tenant to lease out the office space, so at least the project will be generating revenue. We have a fairly good idea over the competition, the need, and the regulations of this site since Phase 1 of Century Square is nearing completion. Once the project is stable and activated, we want to make sure it is managed properly to maintain and enhance its value over the entire life of this investment. We want the social cultural value to be largely based on Aggie traditions and culture, and we want the design to be environmentally and sustainably sound and to enhance the property's value. We also want the sensory value of the experience from this place to make people feel warm and welcomed, even though it's just an office space. I chose Savannah Haney as my partner because her undergrad was in architecture, which is very different from what mine was, so I figured I could learn not only a lot from her, but I know she's also a very organized and detail-oriented person. While we know there could be some challenges with this site because Texas A&M is a public university and gets its funding from the government, so there was talk of there being a possible 2-year to 2-year leases, which could be very problematic. However, we talked about this situation in class, and there are a couple of different ways that we could hopefully get around this situation. Other than that, I'm very excited to get started with this capstone project, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thanks, and gig 'em.